Good morning. It's Friday. I love Fridays. I think many of you do too, because it's the end of your work week and you're going to go into the weekend and hopefully do some really fun things and hopefully then worship with us either in person or on video, and that God's going to build into your life this weekend. So happy Friday. I want to jump into our passage today. It's a very important passage in a variety of ways. At the end of the passage, there's this contrast between God's wisdom and the wisdom of the world. And we've already hit that, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time there, except that I just want to remind you that God doesn't think the way that people think. The wisdom of the world is not the wisdom of God. You and I are today being inundated with all kinds of information, with opinions and perspectives, and a lot of it comes across as being wise and being true, but it is neither wise nor true. God's people need to be discerning, because I've just heard God's people sometimes believe the most outlandish things because they read it somewhere, it was on the internet. That's just not the wisdom of God. And one of the things that's clear in this passage is that we shouldn't be personality driven. The only personality that should drive us is the personality of Jesus Christ, not Paul, not Apollos, not David, not Don, not anybody else. We should be people who focus on Christ, and that's real wisdom. But that's not where I want to focus. I really want to focus on verses 16 and 17, because I think there's some important things there for us to remember today, in this era particularly. In verse 16, Paul says that we are the temple of God, that God dwells here, and that this temple is holy. For years, I kind of put that with chapter 6, which says your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, and thought that this was talking about the body. But it's not talking about, as a matter of fact, you here is not really you, it's y'all. It's plural. This passage is talking about God's collective people, the assembly of God, the ecclesia, the church. And so God is saying that the temple is holy. Here in Corinth, the people of God were a minority. They were maybe living in a house, maybe not a very fancy house. And in Corinth, they had these majestic temples that just, were works of art. But the power wasn't in those big fancy places. It was in this group of people who huddled in a home. And there's a lot for us to learn today, and I think it's particularly important because we live in a day when it's just become popular to bash the church. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I hear people say bad things about the church. One of the main accusations is it's just a place of hypocrites. And, recently there was some validity that was shown nationally when we had a Christian university president who had to resign in disgrace. We've seen that kind of thing before, and it's shameful and it's hurtful and it is embarrassing. And sometimes it's not prominent people, it's just people who are known in a circle, and people know that, hey, this is a person who goes to church supposedly and talks about Jesus, but their life is a mess. So in some ways we're guilty. But you know what the miracle is? Then a place that is as imperfect as a place where you and I can go, God is doing amazing things. I mean, we are seeing lives changed. I mean, people who are addicts are becoming clean. People who are needy are being provided for. It's the church that has built hospitals. It's the church that is changing the world. If there's any hope for this world, I think you and I know it's not Washington, D.C., it's the Church of Jesus Christ. It's people like you and me who have changed lives and go out and change the world. Now, here's the other part of that truth is that when you talk poorly about the church, when you run down the church, Paul has a warning here. It says, he that destroys the church, him will God destroy. So don't jump on that bandwagon. If somebody's running down the church, admit sometimes, hey, we have our faults. I mean, we don't have to be fake about it. I mean, yeah, there is a lot of imperfection here. But then talk about the good things that God is doing. I mean, I see God doing amazing things every day. I see people who are being prayed for and healed. Some of you prayed for my daughter, and she's doing so much better now. And she just, thought maybe she might have COVID, and it turned out to be mono. But I just want to thank you for your prayers. And I want to just tell you, I am proud to be a part of a group of people who love Jesus and who are changing their neighborhoods and reaching out to their neighbors. So my admonition to you is that go out and be the church this weekend. Be that church that changes the world. You can do it because God is in you. God bless.